Super, super simple. Wings, potato starch, brown sugar, scallions, lemons, a thermometer, and sherry vinegar and colatura. And of course, beautiful vessel for shallow frying, a wok. Saves you on oil, really helps. Okay, so here are my wings that have been marinating in the colatura, the sherry wine vinegar, and the brown sugar. I have my potato starch in a large bowl at the ready. This is my glaze before it goes in the pan to get finished. That's the colatura, the lemon juice, the lemon zest, and the brown sugar. And arguably my favorite part of the whole deal, the minced scallions, as thin as you can get them. We're gonna drain those, toss in those, dredge it in the potato starch, and then fry it in our 300-degree oil. Oil is perfect at 300 degrees. So now's the easy, fun part. Step one. Take all your scallions, put them into your bowl with your chicken that's been drained. There's no more marinade in there. And we're just gonna get a whole bunch of that onto our chicken pieces. Step two, I take my wing pieces and I actually, make sure I have scallion on the pieces, right? Like this. And then I just push it into my cornstarch. Potato starch. Spent 10 minutes in the recipe telling you how important that is. And then I brain farted it. You see the way you sort of can press on both sides and get lots of scallion on there. Some will fall off, it's not a big deal, but just pat it down. You'll get quite a bit to stay. And you just keep repeating with all of these wings in the potato starch, one by one. Now, some people with recipes like this want to dump all of the mix of potato starch in. You can do that. The problem is if you haven't measured right or drained properly, you wind up with a batter. You don't want a batter. You're trying to make a dry crust. All right, so all the wings are done. Our oil is at 300 degrees. Our sauce is in the pan waiting to glaze them. And all you do is add these wings. I am probably gonna do 2 batches here to the oil. And as I mentioned before, a wok is kind of perfect for this because as I put the wings in, or half the wings in, the oil rises up and then you let them settle in there. And then I just crank up the heat a little bit because the room temperature chicken drops the temperature of the oil. So I want to crank it up again to maintain 300 degrees. And I'm basically par cooking them with the potato starch for, 10, 12 minutes like this. Drain them on my rack. Bang this up to 375 and fry them a second time to get them nice brown and crispy. Then they get glazed. It's very exciting. All right, so we've been cooking for about 5 minutes, and just make sure you rotate your wings. You don't want to agitate them. You've taken great pains to create a really nice crust, but you do want to make sure, and I can feel they're crisp like glass already. All of that bubbling doesn't mean it's too hot. I keep checking it with my thermometer. What it means is that all the moisture from the marination is evaporating, but I can smell the sugar and the vinegar, the scallion, the chicken, and the colatura in combination. It's just amazing. Oh, shush, Luca. So after, 10 minutes using a slotted utensil, just lay them on a rack. And just make sure that that rack is set over paper toweling to absorb the drips. And then check the temperature on your oil again, because it's going to start spiking up. Because when we raised it, and by the way, our second fry is going to get those really, really, really brown. So that quiets right away. And then we temp this to see how hot it is. Shortly, and we'll fry our, there we go. 300. Time to fry our second batch. All right, and now we take those blonde wings that were fried at 300 for 10 minutes or so, and just working in batches again, fry them at 375. And that's going to get them nice and dark and brown. All right, so those are really nice and dark brown and crispy, crispy, crispy. I'm going to pour that oil out. I'm going to add my glaze in and my wings, and we're going to bring this dish together. So the glaze is just starting to come to a simmer, and because of all that sugar in there and the potato starch residual in the pan, it comes together pretty quickly. You don't want to add your wings until it's glazy, because if you do, they'll absorb liquid and not glaze. And you just want to glaze them. You don't want to ruin that crispy shell exterior. All right, so you can see it's reduced by about 30%, and it's starting to get some body. So we just put it back there, and when it starts to get just a little tighter, which doesn't take much, maybe another 15, 20 seconds, you can start to see larger bubbles forming. And that larger bubble means it's time to add that chicken and coat them. And you can still hear how crispy it is in that glaze. And you can just crank up the heat if you want, which will caramelize this sauce around the wings. And I think what's really important here is just to make sure you're in a single layer. You talk about an interesting take on the flavors of Amalfi, lemon, colatura, which to me are the two great flavors of that part of the world. And now to our plate, a lovely antique plate. And there you go. Super, super simple Amalfi chicken wings. Oh my God. Oh, look at that. Glazy, crispy, delicious. They just reek of lemon, sweet and salty flavors. God, I love this dish.